Chapter 11. "Willow, where's my baptism record?" asked Max as he burst into the cottage. Willow looked up from where he sat on the sofa, lacing his work boots. Max could tell by his flushed cheeks and mussed hair that he'd just woken up from a nap. "I'm not sure. Why?" Max put his hands on his tips. "I have a baptism record, right?" "Of course, your father has it somewhere. What's this all about?" "Sometimes you can use your baptism record from the church to register for football if you don't have a birth certificate." "Where did you hear that?" "Chewy's coach told him. Can I look for mine in case Papa doesn't get back in time?" Willow frowned. "I do not believe it would serve any purpose. Anyway, it's probably from the personal papers your father keeps. He would not want anyone going through them unless it's an emergency." He stood and grabbed his sun hat. "If he is not home in time for the tryouts, I will look for them on your behalf. Now, come." Willow clapped his hands. "I'm feeling energetic. The heat has let up, and I want to start preparing the wood for the false work of the bridge. Let's see how much we can get done before dinner, shall we?" Max followed Willow into the yard. He didn't understand why they couldn't look for the baptism record right now. If they found it, Max could stop worrying. Willow gave instructions, and Max set up the sawhorses and laid the wood planks across them. He measured and marked a line in chalk, then carried each length to the battered workbench where Willow used the hand saw to cut it. Max carefully loaded the wood into the wagon, stacking it by size so it could be unloaded in exactly the same way, the way Papa would have done it. "Once we finish cutting this wood, we will haul it to the site and build the arched wooden hull," said Willow. "When your father gets back, we will begin the stone work over the false work, building symmetrically from the sides to the center." "I know," said Max. "And after the stones are mortared and the bridge is built, we'll remove the false work made of wood to reveal the tunnel." Willow laughed. "I suppose you've watched us enough times." A shadow passed over him and he looked up. "Looks like your friend is paying us a visit." The peregrine falcon hovered above them again. Willow craned his neck. "Isn't she a magnificent pilgrim?" Max nodded. "I saw her nest at the top of La Reina when I was at the ruins." All the questions and secrets crammed in his mind flooded right back to him. Papa said he could only talk to Willow about such things, and in private. Max looked around the yard. "Where's Tio?" "He has a council meeting this afternoon, so we're on our own." "Willow, Papa said I could ask you when we were alone about Los Guardianes de los Escondidos. Was it exciting to be a guardian?" Willow stopped sawing. "I was wondering how long it would take you to ask. The truth? It was far more dangerous than exciting, and a huge responsibility." "Were there lots of hidden ones?" When I was a young man during and after the war, there was a big wave, mostly soldiers and their families. Then for 20 years, while your father was growing up, only a handful. But then there was another wave after that. It was called the Brigade of Women." "It was all women?" "Yes, and some babies and small children, too." "Why did they run away? Was there another war?" "A different type of oppression. Countrymen fighting countrymen about what a woman could and could not do. Some of the women were mothers whose families had banished them because they had no father to support them. Others wished to escape their husbands who mistreated them. Some were servants who were considered less than human. We hid them in the tower, and then as quickly as we could, we moved them on to the next safe place." "But the war was over by then. Why couldn't you tell anyone?" "It was the law. It was and still is illegal to harbor people fleeing from other countries. In some places, it's even illegal to be compassionate and provide water or directions to a fugitive. But they were in grave danger. Some of the men from Abismo, who considered women to be their property, came after them or hired people to find them. They would show a picture around and offer rewards for their capture. People talk for money. How could we not protect them?" Why would anyone come here to look? There are only a few villages and towns between Abismo and the bigger cities north, east, and west of here, said Buelo. Santa Maria is small, but it's on the way to almost everywhere. Did any of the hidden ones ever stay? We're too close to Abismo for comfort. There's greater safety and opportunity in the bigger cities where they could hide in plain sight, working and living like everyone else. If they had tried to stay in a small village like Santa Maria, people discovered they were from Abismo, they would have been shunned, spit upon, or worse. It only takes one or two people to generate hate and make it escalate. I do not like to admit it, but there are people here in Santa Maria who have been my neighbors for years who behave that way. Ortiz said bad things about the hidden ones, Buelo. What were they really like? No two had the same story, but generally speaking, they'd all been on a difficult journey for weeks on foot, sometimes separated from their families, tired, frightened, anxious, angry at the injustice they'd suffered, sad to be leaving their homeland, but wanting a new life, a different tomorrow. That must have been hard for them. Buelo nodded. No matter their disposition, though, I had to be calm and reassuring and stay focused on delivering them safely. Anything could happen along the way, and I had to be ready to improvise at any moment. Did you take them in a car or truck? No, too dangerous. There were always checkpoints for vehicles. On foot, we were safer and could get to places that were better hidden, places a police car could never access. Max shuddered. If it was so dangerous, why did you do it? I felt a moral obligation. How could I ignore their predicament? Max turned the information over in his mind. Could he risk his own life knowing he might end up in jail just to make someone else's life better? Did any of them ever come back? They could not chance it, and that always tugged at my heart. During the journey, there were those who kept their distance and put a wall between us the entire trip. But more often, by the time we arrived at our destination, we had become friends. It's sometimes easier to tell a stranger about yourself, especially one you're never going to see again, than it is to share your secrets with those who are closest to you. Knowing their stories and being their friend made saying goodbye difficult. I like to think, though, that their spirits returned to La Reina Gigante, like they say, on the wings of the peregrine falcon. So you believe it? Of course I do. It comforts me. When I was at the tower, I heard the whispering. I believe you. You were brave to go inside, mijo. I didn't even go beyond the lock gate, and I was scared, but I guess the tower would seem welcoming if I were running away from Abismo. You were the brave one, Buelo, to be a guardian. Well, it was worth finding the courage to give people hope, to show them the world is not all ugliness, but also holds beauty and goodness. Being a guardian is not about borders or laws or money. We never took money. It's about people helping people. Max turned all the details over in his mind. How did they get into the tower? The key is hidden behind some thorny vines where no one would accidentally find it. I'll show you one of these days. And then where did you take them? Far away. It took 3 overnights to reach the next safe place. Did you ever keep going to see where the hidden ones ended up? Buelo shook his head. There's a strict code among guardians. We take the hidden ones only to the next safe place. We cannot assist farther unless that guardian asks for help. This protects the privacy of the hidden ones. Believe me, they do not want to be found. Buelo stretched. That's enough for today. Help me put away the tools. Max followed closely behind, gathering his courage. Papa said my mother was a guardian. Well, yes. Why was she allowed to break the code and travel on? Buelo rubbed his eyes. That is not for me to say. Max persisted. The other day, Papa didn't tell me everything. Do you know what else there is? Maximiliano, your father will discuss these things with you when he feels the time is right. Abuelo, what's the difference if I know now or when he returns? Please tell me, begged Max. Or I can ask Tio or my aunties. Abuelo turned and held up a hand to signal Max to stop, and his eyes were filled with a look Max had never seen before. Was it anger or fear? You will do nothing of the kind. You will wait for your father. Besides, they would never interfere. He took his handkerchief from his pocket and blotted his forehead. I said that was enough for today. This heat is catching up to me. I need to go inside. In his entire life, Max had never seen Abuelo speak with such fierceness. There was no reason to press. Abuelo would not budge. Max cleaned the yard and played with Lola. At dinner, Abuelo was quieter than usual, and for the first time that Max could remember, he said he was too tired for storytelling and went to bed early. Later, when Max heard Abuelo snoring, he stood at the window in his room, looked up at La Reina Grande, and said his usual prayers. Then he placed the compass on the sill face up. The needle bobbed north, pointing straight at the giant queen and beyond. Was his mother in the north? Was that what Papa and Abuelo were hiding? The name of the place that she now lived? Or were they keeping something more from him?